All right, guys, we've had some time to recover, so we're going to do a quick recap of our volcano hike in Guatemala. We went with Wicho and Charlies. The company overall, I thought they did a good job. I thought the tour guides were pretty flexible in terms of giving us what we wanted when the weather wasn't cooperating. I thought it was nice how they broke everybody up. Not directly in terms of like putting people in specific groups, but just having guides sort of staggered throughout the line of people so that if you were really slow, you weren't left behind, and if you wanted to go quicker, there was someone there to do that with you.
They had the option to do a 4x4. So if you want to skip the first 4 to 6 hour hike from like the bottom to the base camp, you can do that. I think it was like an additional $99 per person. Honestly, if I knew of that option, I would have probably chosen it just because the hike, there was nothing really interesting to see, so.
Yeah, there's like a little bit of jungle, a little bit of woods, but yeah, there's no great views.
I mean, you still get to hike though, like, because you need to hike, I think, even if you pick the 4x4, you still get to do the 45-minute hike, which I think was honestly the best portion anyway of that specific hike, because you have the views already, because you're already high up. It was like after the 80%.
So another feature of Wicho and Charlie's is that they will rent you these massive backpacking backpacks that you can put a ton of your stuff in. So then you can just carry a small backpack and someone else will like throw it in the truck and bring your giant bag up. Around the 45-minute mark, they just throw them on the floor and you get to take responsibility of this bag. You can pay a small fee to get them to carry it, but if you have no cash, now you have extra baggage. So we booked a 2-person private cabin at the base camp. I thought that was a solid choice because everybody else had kind of bunked up in these larger sort of cabins that they had put together at the base camp. It was actually really annoying to change and to move around inside the cabin. Yeah. It was super tiny. It was basically just big enough for the two of us to lay down in there. Definitely not big enough to stand up, so we kind of had to change outside when no one was around.
And it was freezing. We got to base camp and unfortunately it was cloudy, and so everyone was still deciding whether we should do fuego because after your 5-hour hike, you just not immediately, but like you have a 2-hour rest and then you have to go on another 4-hour, and I think it's more intense, hike to fuego. Unfortunately, it was cloudy, so we decided not to go, and like Chris was saying, guides were very flexible, and so they were like, okay, we can do it tomorrow instead for sunrise, because there was another hike for sunrise. We decided to skip that so we could do fuego. We had to wake up at 3 in the morning, so what we did, we just honestly slept in our hiking clothes. Like clean hiking clothes. Since we did sunrise, we didn't get to really see a lot of like the red lava flow out of fuego, which you will be able to see more if it was dark. But I think it was still a good hike because we got to see both the sunrise and fuego erupt.
I thought it was good. Definitely the most rewarding part of the hike, the most difficult physical part of the hike, but also the best view at the top for sure. And even though we had to skip the sunrise hike, we still got a great view of the sunrise from fuego. So I think it all worked out overall. It was a bit of a gamble going up there, not knowing if it was going to be too cloudy or not, but I'm glad we did it in the end.
If it's cloudy in your base camp, it could be clear at fuego. So I say check mountain forecast, check if it's clear at fuego, and if it does, I honestly say go for it because the how do you pronounce acatenango?
Acatenango.
Yeah, is higher than fuego, and so there tends to be more clouds by the base camp versus like at fuego where everything, like there's no trees, no nothing, and so it's so windy. So I think the clouds tend to like move faster anyway. It was freezing at fuego because there were no trees, and so it was so windy, borderline frostbite.
I don't think we were close to frostbite.
I really
but
think
it was a bit chilly for sure.
it was so cold. So I would say like layer up when you get to the top, or even before you get to the top, maybe like 5 minutes before you get to the top, because it's so windy that it's kind of hard to like put on your layers. It could fly away. I lost a glove.
Yeah, you're working against the elements out there, but that's the best part about having the giant backpack to keep like all the stuff you don't need, and then having the day pack to move
Right.
around with. You can just keep all your layers in there and access them as necessary. Yeah, in terms of what we brought that I think was most helpful, I would say just wearing the right clothes. And,
Layers, definitely layers then.
Yeah, layers for the cold, but also the initial part of the hike is pretty hot.
Yeah,
when
so
you're
I wore
starting at the
shorts. I wore shorts and just layered the top.
Yeah, so you have to bring a lot of layers and just be prepared
Yeah.
for like a wide variety of
And just, like,
temperatures.
You can strip them as you get hot.
Yeah.
Hiking poles, I was initially a hater, but towards the end, especially at Fuego, huge fan.
Yeah, they were definitely helpful.
Yeah.
Going uphill, it's nice to be able to distribute your weight a little bit differently, and even downhill to be able to just stab it into like
Oh,
the sides
you will
of things.
slip.
Yeah.
Everyone was just slipping. Like when we first started Fuego, everyone was slipping.
Yeah, there's a lot of downhill, and it's very dark at 3 a.m. It helps to have the poles to sort of secure yourself
Yeah.
a little bit more.
So bring also headlamps.
Headlamp is huge, especially for the morning hike. The people who didn't just had to rely on walking behind people who did have headlamps. So yeah, I'd recommend bringing your own.
Yeah, and then liters of water, I think 2 to 3 per person.
2 to 3 per person.
Yeah. Bring lots of snacks. Lots, because Wicho and Charlie only provided vegetarian food.
True, vegetarian food
So
and
beef jerky.
a little bag of trail mix. Make sure you bring some beef by any means possible. But yeah, gotta get protein up there somehow. Hard boil some
Yeah.
eggs.
I think the last one for me is body wipes. It
Yeah.
just feels nice to be semi-clean after your first initial hike and before going to bed. I think that's key to feeling good.
Yeah, no, for sure. After the long hike, it was definitely sort of refreshing to get some of that sweat off you, especially before you jump in a sleeping bag, wearing full hiking gear. So yeah, that came in clutch for sure. Overall, I'd say it was probably the highlight of this trip. One of my favorite experiences ever, probably. Very difficult at times, but very rewarding. Met some cool people at the base camp and got some great views at the top.
Yeah.
So yeah, highly recommend it.
Yeah. Perfect. Imagine it wasn't recording.